Welcome back, listeners. I'm Robin Black, and this is It's All About Healing podcast. In today's episode, we have with us Stephen Gravo. He is the lead producer and writer, but he's going to speak to us today a little bit about coping with loss, writer's block, everyday stress, and mental fatigue. So, Stephen, how are you today?
I'm doing well. I'm the lead writer of the Misplaced Comedy Group,
Okay.
and not your show. So I just wanted to say that. but
Yeah.
but and now it's also the Potluck Podcast, right, as well. So um,
Okay.
with the Misplaced Comedy Group, we were one of the first to actually have a podcast.
Okay.
Podcast. It's hard for me to hear now. So um, this is back in 2005, 2004, 2005, when podcasting first started. Nobody knew what it was. And
Mhm.
we actually had to program our computers to stream from one computer and get it from another computer. And
Yeah.
from that, we pretty much that's how it was streaming at the time. So it wasn't like Restream or any kind of YouTube. There wasn't any YouTube at the time, and so we would produce our own videos and all our own podcasts, and then
Mhm.
nobody would knew what it was. So we
Yeah.
stopped doing it. That was like 2004, 2005, and
Okay.
I think Adam Curry, who was one of the first MTV VJs, um, made it popular. And
Mhm.
so we were one of 9 podcasts on iTunes Music Store. And
Yeah.
that was it. There were 9,
Uh-huh.
and it was us. And so we won all kinds of awards for production. And it wasn't like a talk show, it was
Yeah.
a produced half-hour program of
Mhm.
comedy snippets, sketch comedy, um, song parodies, and um, it was kind of like Saturday Night Live meets Weird Al Yankovic,
Okay,
and
and is that with Saturday Night Live? Is that kinda like sketch comedy?
that is sketch comedy. Yeah,
Okay,
that's sketch
okay.
comedy. There's so many different kinds of comedy out there. Most people are familiar with stand-up comedy, where guys just stand up with a microphone.
Yeah.
And Whose Line Made It? Whose Line Is It Anyway? Made improv
Yes,
famous,
yes.
a
Uh-huh.
household thing, when it was years and years and years and years of stuff going on.
Yeah.
I'm on an Echo, so it's like a second delay. So it's kind of weird for me to talk and hear myself.
Yeah.
It's
Sorry.
weird. No, I think it's me. I think it's me because of the I'm on a satellite. So that's
Oh, okay.
ah
Okay.
okay. All right, let's see if that works.
Okay, does that sound better?
Yeah, yeah. It just takes me a second here.
Okay. So tell us a little bit also about, coping with loss and what we had briefly spoken about before, excuse me, with the American Idol. Can you tell us
Oh
that?
well, okay. What happened was we got pretty popular really fast, and a lot of our members. Well, when I started Misplaced Comedy, it was right around 9/11,
Okay.
and we did an album or a CD called The Afghan Files, because the X Files were popular at the time, and well, Afghanistan, was popular, and Bin Laden and everything was happening around Bin Laden, and we did a song called the Bin Laden Banana Boat song.
Uh-huh.
Day oh day oh, someday
Yeah.
you're gonna go. Well, we did Bin Laden singing, someday soon you're gonna go boom, and
Oh,
it was very popular at the time. Uh, the humor was popular at the time. It's not
uh-huh.
anymore. You
Yeah.
can't really say half this stuff on social media at all anymore, but it was popular at the time because of what America was going through. And what we did
Mhm.
was a huge campaign called Comic Relief in America's Grief.
Mhm.
And we worked with the Red Cross and the United States Marines, because everyone was getting ready to go off to Afghanistan, and we were entertaining them prior to shipping off to war.
Mm-hmm.
And that was in Parris Island, South Carolina. And then and also Port Royal, at the Port Royal Naval Hospital in South Carolina. And then I moved to Florida and restarted everything here in Florida, and with a whole new crew, a whole new group. And we had a couple other CDs that got pretty popular. And I did a parody song from Carrie Underwood's Before He Cheats.
Mm-hmm.
And I took the
parody.
Well, my parody was called Call the Police.
Okay.
So Carrie Underwood's version had a next time you'll do it before he cheats or something like that, and mine was like, this girl's crazy, call the police. And so American Idol got wind of this. It was being aired, like the radio stations would play Carrie Underwood's version, and then they would play my version afterwards in the morning radio, and it was across America. And American Idol got wind of it, and next thing you know, they had a website at the time called American Idol Underground. Mm-hmm. And what happened was we were number one in comedy. So everyone knows American Idol on television, where it's pop music or pop culture.
Right.
American Idol Underground also dealt with other things like spoken word, jazz, hip hop, other genres of music. Okay. And so we were in the comedy spoken word version, and next thing you know, we were in American Idol magazine as one of the best emerging artists of the year. And it was all because of that song. But we had like 5 other CDs since then, or before then, and that people can just click on and go and see all this other stuff. Right. And right when we were getting all the interviews on NPR and everything, people started passing away. One of our songs, I think it was Fluebird, was number one, one of our number one hit singles on the internet. We had the avian flu. Instead of Freebird, I made it Fluebird. It's one of our parody songs. And the gentleman who sang that, his name was Terry, he passed away. It started with my cat. My cat Squeaks. She was so small. She was so small, and she didn't meow. She squeaked. And so just mew. But she's in a couple of our videos you can find on YouTube and stuff. And but she was our mascot. And then she passed away. And then Terry passed away. And then like I had relatives pass away, like both sides of my grandparents. And it was difficult, one thing after another. People were just gone. They were just gone. And these were the people that inspired me to do what I did. And and now my inspiration was just poof, gone. And I mean, I had friends from high school, and my first girlfriend that I ever had is like, they all passed away within like a year and a half, 2-year period. All of them. Yeah, exactly. It was like boom, 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 boom. People were telling me I was cursed.
Yeah.
don't do anything with Gravo because he's cursed. You're gonna die. And I was like, oh my God, no, that's not. I'm trying to make people laugh and have fun. And it was very. It was like one person after another, and it was very hard to cope and keep writing and keeping up with the comedy. And you know how fast things go in this world. You have an 8-second attention span. And people just you have 8 seconds to catch your attention and go. And then you don't have that, and then it's, imagine years upon years of losing that 8 seconds. And you're just like, oh, how do I get that back? And it's very difficult. It leads to a lot of stress, mental stress, physical stress, because you're trying your hardest to write and produce, and you just gotta. I just found that if you just keep going one step at a time, little steps,
Yeah.
You're able to move forward, even
Uh,
if you have writer's block. You have
yeah, that's
writer's
what I was
block.
just about to bring up. Yeah.
That is the worst thing
Yeah.
ever. It is. It's like you have all these great ideas and you're like, great, this is awesome. I can't wait to write. And it doesn't come out your
Right.
fingertips. And you're like, I just thought of something and it's gone. And you're like,
Yeah.
oh my God, it's gone. And and
Yeah.
so and so my if you ever have anyone that's listening to this, if you ever have writer's block, just write anything. It doesn't matter if it doesn't make sense. It doesn't matter
Yeah.
if it's just a tweet or on X, Twitter X or whatever they have it now. It's like, and it just doesn't matter. Just write something, and it doesn't
Yeah.
need to make sense. Eventually, you'll get your thoughts back, and
Yeah.
you'll eventually hit your stride again. And but when you lose something, and like friends and stuff, it's very hard to cope, one day at a time. Keep the good thoughts in your memory, uh, and try to focus on what would they do in this situation to keep them involved even though they're no longer there.
Right.
and uh,
Absolutely.
and so that helps me.
Hmm.
It's like, what would Terry say on this? Would he be able to sing this? Or, okay, how would he sing this? And or um and I don't know, it's just how you cope. And
Right.
also, and then things can get out of control. You just don't have, you get older.
Yeah.
That is something you just don't think about when you get older,
Mm.
and it's just not happening anymore. You're just like, writer's block. You're getting older. Weird things happen when you get older.
Yeah.
As a guy, you either lose your hair, or you wake up in the morning and your hair's like all over the place like Einstein, or
Yeah.
you lose your hair, and then you have hair that grows out of places that you just don't want hair to grow.
Yeah.
It just doesn't, like, you get this thing, you're like, you're scratching your ear, and all of a sudden you're like, you get this ear and you're like, oh my, what is this? And you're down,
That is
down, down, down,
gross.
down, 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 down. You're like, no, get the tweezers out, get rid of that hair. But it's
Yeah.
like but yeah, it's just weird things happen, and it stresses you out. So it's with that kind of thing. So that uh yeah, so
So when all these kept occurring, like were you still in the midst of trying to write? You were dealing with coping with writer's block and coping with
yes.
all these losses as well.
Oh, it was crazy. I mean, and well, at the time we were still in American Idol
Yeah.
magazine, as one of the best emerging artists. People wanted to take our picture. I'm in Sarasota County, and Sarasota Magazine was like, "Hey, we got to get you people on our in our magazine," and we're going to
Mhm.
different theaters, getting pictures taken, and and we were just trying to do a tour and setting up a tour. We took 10 months aside. We put 10 months aside, and we started working on a tour, because there was we were a comedy group, and we had all these CDs. We currently have more CDs than Monty Python, which is like a
Mhm.
big ching, a feather in our cap. And we were trying to take that on the road. And my cousin Mike and I, we're like brothers. We were like brothers.
Mhm.
We were born 2 months apart. I was born in March. He was born in May, and we just grew up together. So we knew everything about each other. And I mean, growing up, we got in trouble together. We did everything, and
Yeah.
and um, and he was a master electrician, and he knew how to drive a truck.
Yeah.
So he was going to be our tour manager, and that's how that worked. So you're going to be our tour manager. You know how to do electric, and you know how to drive a truck, and we can load everything in the truck and just go. And
Yeah.
and 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 so he was going to be our tour manager, and then out of the blue, he passed away.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, my confidant, my brother, and we grew up together, and everything was, when we growing up, we wanted to be rock stars, and if whoever
Hmm.
was going to be a rock star first, you took the other guy with you, and that was the deal we always had. And
Yeah.
so it wasn't rock and roll, but it was comedy, and we were hitting the big time, and let's go, and you're going to be my road manager. And when he passed away, that's when everything just kind of like went, fell through.
Right.
and
Yeah.
and and that's the one that hit hit the most. That was what that hit the most. And after that, I couldn't deal with it. I was like, that's it. Um, I went into seclusion.
Yeah.
I went into hiding. I would just stare at my computer monitors and wonder, I can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
And yet people were calling me, hey, when are we going to meet up again? When are we going to do this again? I was like, I don't know. And eventually I started doing the baby steps. It took me a time to just think about what was going to happen next.
Yeah.
Bills were starting to mount up. I had to pay the electric bill. We had to make sure that mortgage was paid. It was just this one thing after another, after another, after another. I was like, oh, stress, everyday stress that people go through every day. Not just
Right.
me. It's everybody goes through. Get a roof over your head, make sure the power's on, make sure the electricity's on, uh, make sure you get your TV and your internet and
Yeah.
you know, your phones. Everyone's got a cell phone. You make sure that your cell phones are working. But these things add up. You need the money to do it, and um, and so you just another thing is you need insurance. The
Yeah.
older you get, the older you get, the more ailments you get.
Yeah.
It's not just like I'll just sleep it off. No, you're like, oh, my shoulder hurts today. What did I do? I
Yeah.
woke up, I must have been sleeping like this. And
Yeah.
oh no. And the rest of
Right.
the day you're like, oh, what just happened?
Right.
And
Yeah.
yeah, so you need insurance. I had to get a job, a job.
Right. Yeah.
Like, I was like, well, what? So I got a job, and that helped with the insurance and stuff. But you still have that whatever happened attitude.
Right.
What could I get it back? Could I get it
Hmm.
back? And it's slowly happening. Actually, um, right now, taking the baby steps. Friends from mine from work actually were like, I want to do a podcast. I'm
Yeah.
like, well, I know how to do that. I did that back in 2005. What do you want to do a podcast on? They're like, I don't know. And so I'm like, well, this is how, we do it. We set up a podcast, we set up a show, we set up a format. And they're like, okay. And they wanted to do it. And then they got tired of doing it. I'm like, well, it's a show. You have to keep it going.
Right.
If you want to have people to, help people, to inform people, even make them laugh, you have to keep up on the show. It's a show. It's like your baby.
Right.
You have to feed it.
Yes.
You have to make sure that you have things to do and talk about. And
Yeah.
so we called it the Potluck Podcast because it's a live show, and we play games. We joke around with people, and they call in from all over the world. People from Australia, England, Georgia, Savannah, Georgia. People from Pennsylvania and Delaware, and they call in from all over, and they don't have to listen to actually talk to you. It's an audio podcast, and but that also has a chat line. So
Hmm.
you can also, chat your answers. So we play games. We play trivia games. We do music trivia. We
Yeah.
tell jokes, and it's a bunch of the guys from work. They kind of bowed out, and a couple of guys that were left over from the comedy group stepped in. They're like, I'm not doing anything. Let's just
Yeah.
have fun with it. And so every Wednesday night we have the Potluck Podcast on the Podbean
Hmm.
platform. And
Yeah.
so it's also resurging the Misplaced Comedy stuff. And
The
so
potluck podcast. Okay.
yeah, so it's just it keeps going. And so all the Misplaced Comedy group things are starting to build up again through this podcast, because we're doing, oh, what happened 20 years ago? Well,
Hmm.
we were doing this 20 years ago, and it was 20, yeah, because we just did our 20th anniversary for the Misplaced Comedy Group
Yeah.
last year, I think. So we just did the 20th anniversary, and we did a greatest hits CD. And actually, right now, because of this podcast, and little by little by little, um, we're having a leftover CD. So I'm pulling all of these old sketches that I had from 10, 15 years ago. I'm like, oh my
Mhm.
gosh, look at this. And so I'm
Right.
pulling this sketch out, and I'm like, okay, well, hey, you and you, let's voice this, and we'll produce it, and it's the leftover CD, and
Yeah.
so that'll be coming out next year, I think, next year. So, so it's starting to build up again. So that's
That's
always,
good.
yeah, yeah. So
That's
it's
really
funny,
good.
yeah, because we were one of the first. You wanted video. This is before YouTube. You wanted video, comedy videos. You would go to Misplaced Comedy Group if
Yeah.
you wanted. And now it's all changed around because now there's YouTube and
Mhm.
other video platforms. And we were the first to have a podcast, which we had to do on our own server and put all of the audio on the server or video because we did instead of like YouTube has videos, we did video podcasts, and so
Mhm.
we would just recode the format from MP3 or WAV to video,
Okay.
M4V or MWV or whatever it was at the time, and so we would stream the video as well as the audio, and that's how
Mhm.
we did our podcasts, and
Yeah.
yeah, and at the time it was great. It was awesome. In like 2003, 2004, every time someone clicked on something, like there was an old website called mp3.com. Every time
Mhm.
someone clicked on one of our things, we would make a half a penny.
Oh, okay.
And so, yeah, through advertising. And so,
Yeah.
but at the time we were getting 200,000 clicks a day.
Oh,
So,
okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
so those half a pennies added up. and
Right.
then and then
Absolutely.
they and then Congress changed how people got paid on the internet in 2003, 2004, and then all
Yeah.
that went away. And
Uh-huh.
so and now it's all streaming, and you don't know who's streaming and what, and so but so you had to make your money other ways, and so
Yeah.
it all led to stress,
Yes, I
financial
I can
stress.
only imagine. But like you said, like your potluck podcast, I'm sure that helped with the mental fatigue, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Actually, we called it our therapy sessions for a long time.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we got everything off of our chest with everybody listening and tuning in, and then we play a game. And
Mhm.
we play games like true or false. I'll read something, and you have to decide, is it true or is it false? And
Right.
then we'd have like 20 people, true, T T F F T T F F, in the chat line. I'm like, all right, and then I'd have a bell, ding 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 ding, or
Yeah.
and so and we do music trivia, and then of course we're here in Florida, so you have to have a Florida man episode. And so I read headlines, and you have to decide, is it true or is it, which headline is the real headline. And so uh, people have a lot of fun with that. So it builds my esteem up, my self
Mhm.
esteem, and it helps me, focus on things that I can now control
Right. Right.
rather than everything going willy nilly, and so I keep it happy is what
Yeah.
I just try to keep it happy.
I like that you keep it happy, and I like that you keep moving forward instead of dwelling on the past, on everything that has happened. You keep moving forward and finding other ways to move on.
It's tough. It really is
Yeah.
hard to keep moving forward, and other things bring you down. I'm not used to working as much
Mhm.
or having as
Yeah.
much to deal with, and then coming home and then having to work on top of the work
Mhm.
just to get back where you used to be, and uh, it was so much easier when I just had all this free time and I could do whatever I want, and now
Right.
it's like it's not like that anymore. Reality
Yeah.
set in, and 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 so well, you deal with, you said, one of my friends was, you have to deal with the essentials, and
Mhm.
take, he said, take care of number one and try not to step in number two. And
Yeah.
and I live by that, because once uh, once you're good with yourself, then you
Mhm.
can project that light onto others, and
Absolutely.
so I think that's what you're doing, and
Oh, well, thank you.
I think that's why you have this. great platform, and you're bringing all these people together, and
Yes.
not just telling their stories, but telling how they deal with it, so that when other
Mhm.
people find themselves in a situation, whether it's, the passing of relatives, and
Yeah.
dealing with the loss, and moving forward from that, or just financial stress,
Right.
um,
Yes.
or just mental stress of, being bombarded with so much information all the time. Well, take it easy. Go to the
Yeah.
beach. Go and get away from everything. Go back into the woods. Find a cabin somewhere, or go to a
Yeah.
lake. Have fun
Yeah.
outside, away from all of the bombardment of everything. And even if it's just for a day, you
Yeah.
know, everyone needs a reset button. and
Exactly.
and so, Control Alt Delete,
Yeah.
and just be, and
Right.
just even if it's for a day,
Yeah.
and that will that'll rejuvenate your soul. It will. It really
Control
will.
Alt-Delete. I like that. I might end up naming this episode that. But I feel like because if you can never disconnect, it's like you're gonna constantly be flowing in your mind. Like your mind's never going to slow down if you don't do that Control Alt Delete in task. Like
That's it.
you can't figure it out. You're just gonna constantly keep going down a dark hole if you don't.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
Like you see on broadcasts, these guys yelling and screaming, all about politics and craziness and all the news, and this guy should have been doing this, this guy should have been doing that, and blah 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 blah. And you're like,
Yeah.
who are you?
Yeah.
You're just some guy yelling into a microphone, and you have no control over what's happening in the world,
Right.
and it's just getting people angry,
Yeah.
and because people are listening to these guys, and they're like, they don't have anything to do with it. Step back, move
Yeah.
this guy aside, have some fun, play a game, you
Right.
know it's make sure your essentials are good, create your own light, and project it onto others, and
Absolutely.
that's what makes people happy. People are
Yeah.
too angry. People are too angry nowadays. People should be out having fun. It's all about love. Bump some
Yeah.
uglies. Come on, do something
Yeah.
crazy. Just have fun. Uh,
Yeah.
have fun. Get out there, and don't need
That's
to
it.
focus on that. And
That's absolutely, and then not taking on too much for yourself, learning to delegate as well. And that was my biggest problem is I didn't know how to delegate. I tried to just do everything all by myself, feeling like no one's going to understand. You're not going to know how to do it, so just don't even worry about it. And that was my biggest mistake was, hey, even if it's one of my kids that can help me, it's like the littlest thing, allow someone to help you if they're willing to help
exactly.
you.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's good too. That is very good advice as well.
Yeah.
Um, because I've done that as well. I lost a lot of footage.
Hmm.
We were doing a music video. This was at the very peak of our popularity, and
Hmm.
I was working with a film company. They called themselves Capstone Entertainment,
Yeah. Yeah.
and this was a subsidiary of the Capstone, that movie picture. Someone got the rights to it, and they were keeping the name going. And um, we were recording the music video for uh, Call the Police.
Hmm.
And now, at the time, we were on morning radio every day. American Idol. We won. I won karaoke machines and watches, and I got all kinds of goofy stuff from American Idol. It was weird, and um, he lost all the footage
Hmm.
of, and I was like, it's the first time I actually like gave somebody something to do, and
Right. Oh
so
no.
I didn't have to record it. I didn't have to produce it. I was like, here, you do it. You have Stone Entertainment, and then nuts. We had a girl that, and she was from Texas, and she came in, and she was awesome, and and we did all these different shots. She had a voodoo doll stabbing me with a voodoo doll because she
Wow.
was crazy. You know, it was supposed to be,
Yeah.
call the police, people.
Uh-huh.
And so uh, and like we had this one scene where I was sleeping, and she would go behind me and she would snip some of my hair and put it on a voodoo doll, and she was like slamming it in the floor. And uh, he lost all the footage. He lost
Oh
all the
my
footage,
goodness.
and I was just like, oh my, yeah, exactly. So we had this number one hit single and nothing to back it up on, and I was just like, oh.
Oh
And
man.
yeah, so I know all about delegation. Sometimes it works, sometimes it
Sometimes it
backfires,
doesn't.
but
Yeah.
but but as long as you have the people you trust with you, and know that they're good at it, and you can delegate all that
Yeah.
stressful stuff to someone else.
Right, exactly. There you go. That's exactly it. Just knowing what piece to take.
Oh, oh my
Well,
goodness.
thank you so much, Stephen. It has been wonderful speaking to you. If there was any anything that you want to recommend, whether it be any type of advice or anything, what would it be to all the listeners?
Oh wow. If you're stressed, take a step back, do your Control Alt Delete,
Yeah.
and find your happy place. Because if you
Yes.
don't find your happy place, you'll never be happy. Whether you just take a day or a weekend and do nothing but nothing, and
Right.
find what you want to do, and reset your life and start from scratch. Start from one. No, take the things that you know what worked and what didn't work
Yeah.
in the past, and start new, and
Yeah.
utilize the things that you know that work for you,
Yeah.
and just be happy. Find your happy spot, because nobody needs grief. Nobody, uh, everyone should be loving and happy, and that's the way everything should be. And
Yeah.
and that's why I chose comedy, to make people
Yeah.
happy. And people thought I was funny. I didn't know. I don't think I'm funny at all. I don't. I just I don't. It's just me. And people just tend to lighten up, and if I have something to say, and I hope that I lighten somebody's mood today with my groggy waking up in the morning rant.
Yes, you like mine. I find you very funny. So I definitely enjoyed this tremendously.
Good.
So how can others get a hold of you, or how can they find you?
Oh, well, every Wednesday night live on the Podbean app. We're doing the Potluck Podcast. And if not, there's hundreds of episodes. You can always go to misplacedcomedygroup.com. That's all one word. Um, and or you can just Google Misplaced Comedy Group. There's hours of entertainment there. Some politically correct, some not.
Yeah.
It depends on the genre, because we've done this before all that political correctness stuff started, and
Yeah.
so um, I was on NPR, and they were like, "How come you don't take that off the air?" I'm like, "Why should I? I mean,
Mhm.
it was there before all of this stuff. It's American history, and
Right.
that's what Americans thought at that time. I'm
Hmm.
gonna keep that there, and yeah, but we have new stuff that's politically correct as well. That's just as funny. And
Okay.
but or you can go to grabo.world, grabo.world. That's my hub, and from there you can go anywhere. You can go to the Potluck Podcast. You can go to Misplaced Comedy Group. I think it has all our CDs on there. It has my music CDs as well. Um, because when I was in that down spiral, um, friends of mine got me playing music again, and so the one was upbeat. You could tell the one CD was upbeat. The next CD was like,
Right. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but uh, but yeah, it kept me writing and it kept me
Yeah.
moving, and so and that was and always keep moving forward. Always
All
keep
right. And
baby
then what was
steps.
that website? One more time, the Grabo website. What was that?
Grabo.world instead of .com.
Grabo.world.
It's
Okay.
.world. It's Grabo.world, and and but you can always just Google Misplaced Comedy Group. You'll find all our stuff everywhere. We have more CDs than, like I said, Monty Python or Cheech and Chong, and
Yeah.
uh, so we have stuff out there, and we were one of the first to do a podcast. So that was
Awesome. That's wonderful. I still can't believe it.
actually the very first podcast. The guy I do the potluck with
Hmm.
is my best friend Bob, and the very first sketch on the very first podcast was how to do a podcast.
Yeah.
And other people who have podcasts go back to that because
Uh-huh.
it's a sketch. It's just a sketch on how to do a podcast. One guy's like upbeat, hey, the other guy's like talking in a
Yeah.
monotone voice and how to do a podcast because this is my radio voice and
Yeah.
no, it's like no, you got to be doing crazy stuff, doing this, that, and other things. And it's well, this is my radio voice, and we are doing this the way we're supposed to. And so people actually took that and played it on their podcasts.
Uh-huh.
And so that I thought that was kind of funny. That was kind of funny.
Yeah.
They were like, "Hey, I played your stuff on our show." I was like, "Who are you?"
Yeah. I understand that. But thank you again so much. I wish I had more time, but I actually have to go into another interview. So thank you so much, Stephen.
And you made a new friend.
Yes, absolutely. It's all about connections. That's why I do this. I like connecting with others and just however we can collaborate or whatever the case is. I think that's what it's all about for me.
It is, and to be happy and just find your happy. I hope to
Yes,
see you on the show. You come on the potluck.
absolutely.
Come on the
Yes,
potluck.
that
Play
would
some
be
games.
awesome. That would be awesome. We will definitely collab later and talk about that.
Awesome.
All
Thank you
right.
so
Thank
much.
you so much, everyone. Again, I'm Robin Black. This is It's All About Healing podcast. And thank you so much, Stephen. Everyone, have a wonderful night.
Bye.
Goodbye.